Hello and welcome to PMX Hub. This is our PMP Exam question and answer series. We have compiled hundreds of PMP questions and their right answers only for you. Let's go through each and every question, understand the components, parts of the question, understand the options provided, and then eliminate the wrong answers and reach to the only right answer. This is Question 1, which is based on the integration management or change control domain. A project manager is leading a cloud migration project for a financial services company. Now look at the background. This is the background of the question given. In most of the PMP questions, you will get some kind of background, but it may not be helpful always. So you have to quickly read through the background given and reach to the core of the question. The core of the question is followed. So, the project manager is leading cloud migration project for a financial services company. Where is the project? Which stage of the project we are at? That we need to know initially at first. So, the project is halfway through execution. Now we know that it is halfway through execution. What is the health of the project? It remains within approved budget and schedule baselines. During a quarterly steering committee meeting, the chief financial officer, the CFO, is from the top management, requests a new dashboard that would provide real-time financial reporting capabilities. So some reporting capabilities are going to be enhanced because of this report. The CFO believes that the enhancement would greatly benefit the executive decision making and asks the development team to start immediately because the change appears simple. What should the project manager do first? Before you do anything else, what you should do first? That is the question. Now understand, the change is the dashboard that is requested by a chief executive financial officer. So CFO is from top management. He's a big guy. Now he has requested a change, but that's only for his decision making or the high level top management decision making process is going to benefit them. But should you start immediately? That's the question. What should you do at first? Let's look at the options. Option A is to approve the request because it comes from an executive stakeholder. Just because the request has been initiated by somebody high up in the senior management does not give you the right to downgrade all other priorities and take that thing in the first place. So approve the request immediately because it has come from somebody who is in senior management is not the right option to go with. I would straight away eradicate that one, cross that one. Next one, option B, evaluate the impact of the requested change on project constraints and objectives. That's a good option. You should always evaluate the impact of any change. Option C, direct the development team to estimate the effort and begin work. Now this is a big red signal. You begin work only after you evaluate the impact and estimate the impact and then do the decision making. So directing the team immediately to start the work is never an option to be taken immediately. Option D, reject the request because the scope baseline has already been approved. Because the scope baseline has been approved, you should expect that over the period of time, over the duration of the project, changes will come. Changes are normal. Changes need to be managed as a part of management of change process. But before you do that, the option D says that you reject the request. You cannot reject the request. Mind it that it has come from a big stakeholder on the project. He is a CFO on the company and he has big decision making powers always look for the power and interest of the stakeholder in the project. So you cannot reject his request. It is detrimental to your job as well, your position as well. So always it takes us to option B. The right option to go with is option B. Evaluate the impact of the requested change on project constraints and objectives. What are the project constraints? We have seen in PMBOK guide. The project constraints are the normal schedule, scope, time, cost, the benefits, the objectives of the project, the stakeholders, the communication, the risks, the procurement. All these areas need to be considered. The impact of the change on these areas need to be considered before we do anything else. So at first, the project manager should evaluate the impact of the requested change on project controls and objectives. That's the right answer. Let's take a look at question 2. This question is from stakeholder management domain. Now, stakeholders are very important people on the project. Every project, before you initiate the project. While initiating the project, you need to understand, you need to find out how many stakeholders are there, how many sponsors, who is the project manager, who is the who are in the senior management, who is a team member, who are the people in government, who are the people impacted by the project, who are the people who can impact the project, and their existence is affecting the overall success of the project. So their existence is affecting the overall success of the project. So let's see how the question goes. A project manager is managing the construction of a new logistics center. So now we know what kind of project it is. It is a construction project, a new logistics center. The project sponsor controls the funding and strategic decisions, but rarely participates in project meetings. So now he's at a higher position where he's able to control the finances of the project as well as decision making on the project, but he does not participate in the project meetings. Recently, the sponsor complained about receiving too many operational updates. So the communication is much more than what is needed, while also expressing concern about being surprised by major project issues. As he is getting too many operational level updates and communications, he is reading through them and getting surprised by major project issues which he normally is not interested about. How should the project manager manage the stakeholder? Now understand, there are various strategies of managing stakeholders, but before you do anything, you need to take a step. You need to identify what level of power the stakeholder has and what level of interest he is having in the project. So it can be plotted on a map or on the graph with 4 quadrants, where power goes on the x-axis and interest can be on the y-axis. Anything in this quarter is low on power and low on interest will be placed here, but high on power but low on interest will be here. Then high on power but having low interest in the project will be here, with high on power and high interest in the project, as well as low in the power but high interest in the project will go here. So as we can see here, the person is from senior management, so he is definitely having control over the funding as well as strategic decision. That gives him high power but rarely participates in the project, so he is less interested in the project. So low interest but high power will bring him in this quadrant. So now we know where our stakeholder or the sponsor can be plotted on the graph, where we are assessing the importance of that stakeholder. Option A is to monitor the sponsor with minimal communication. Send the minimal communication, but as the person is at a position where he needs to take the right project strategic decisions, control the funding, he needs to have some sort of communication from the project, but not the minimal communication. So I would cross this option. This is not the right option. Option B, provide detailed weekly status report. Detailed status weekly report. Now he's already complaining about receiving too many operational updates. So providing weekly status reports is also not the option here. Option C, keep the sponsors satisfied through strategic level communication. This is something that till now I have found is the most suitable option. Because the person, the sponsor, is at a high level, he needs to make strategic level decisions which are impacting the control of the funding and high level decisions. So definitely I would go with this option, but let's see what is option D. Include the sponsor in all project meetings. He is not interested in attending all the project meetings, so not option D. Option C is the most right answer here, so we should go with option C. Moving on to question 3. From Agile or product management domain, a Scrum team is developing an online banking application. During a sprint review, several stakeholders request new security controls and reporting features. Now this is a Scrum team developing the online banking application. The method, project management methodology is Agile. So we are expecting the stakeholders to do periodic reviews and give feedback to see whether the banking application is adequate to the requirements of the project or not. If not, what needs to be changed, what is their feedback. We definitely need to gather their feedback, and what we have got is several requests for new security controls and reporting features. Now, the product owner believes the requests provide value, but recognizes that implementing all of them could significantly delay the planned release. So the requests are important, they are required to be done. That's what the project owner, the product owner believes. But could it significantly delay? Yes, he thinks that the planned release date gets affected due to this change. What should the project owner do next? What should he be doing? What do you think he should be doing? Let's look at the options. Option A is add all requested features to the current sprint. Sprint is a part of the Agile online banking development activity. There are a number of sprints being taken up as a short amount of work to be completed. Once that sprint is completed, the sprint is reviewed and sprint retrospective happens, and whatever is the feedback is given. So while developing the current sprint, all the requested features to be added to the current sprint, that will definitely delay the completion of the current sprint, and this is not recommended. Option B, reject the request until the project is complete. Remember that this is online banking application development through Agile methodology. You have to always be ready, receptive to change. So the feedback, we always gather them, we do not reject them. So this is not recommended. Option C, evaluate and prioritize the request in the product backlog. Ideally, there is a product backlog which has all the requirements from all the stakeholders listed down. So it is always beneficial to evaluate the request and list it down in a product backlog. Product backlog is a list of activities to be done in the future to complete the required project or the sprint, and then prioritize them. Definitely, I think this is the right option that we have got till now. Let's see what is option D. Ask the developers. Developer is a part of the team to determine which requests are most important. Maybe you will do that, but not immediately. You will do that after you have a product backlog. Then you will define the priorities based on feedback from the team as well. So this is to be done, but not immediately, not the next thing to do after you get the request. What you will do next is evaluate and prioritize the request. So option C is the right option to go with. Get ready for PMP question 4. Based on the risk management domain, project team is implementing a new manufacturing system. So the project is new manufacturing system. During a planning workshop, where we are doing a planning workshop, a team member identifies a potential risk. Internal member of the team has identified a potential risk that a specialized equipment supplier may experience delivery delays due to transportation disruptions. There may be various reasons for transportation disruption. Maybe there's a strike of the trucks, maybe the freights that are operating nationally are not working, there's a war situation, some deliveries from Ukraine cannot happen. This kind of transportation disruptions can always be there, and due to that your supplier may delay their deliveries. And if it is a specialized equipment, that's something to worry about. It is definitely a risk. The delayed equipment would affect multiple critical path activities, and impact of that delay is impacting your completion of the project. And most critical, the activities that take longer time to finish, those are on critical path, and if that gets impacted or delayed, because of that there's a risk of entire project getting delayed. What should the project manager do first? What should you do first? Let's look at the options. Develop a contingency plan. Once you know all the risks, you can definitely develop a contingency plan to take care of the impact of those, but that is not the first thing you do. You need to assess the risks at first. So let's see option B. Escalate the concern to the sponsor. Never fall for this option. Most of the PMP questions you will see this word escalate, and then it is asking what you do next, what you do first. It's never the option to escalate to senior management. So do not escalate. Do your due diligence before you take any action or escalate to senior management. Option C. Document the risk in the risk register. This is a wise thing to do. Whenever you find a new risk impacting the project, delays or any kind of risk, whether it is quantitative, impacting in terms of the amount, or impacting in terms of time or resources, any of those PMP project management domains, any of those getting impacted, that risk should be listed down in a register. It's called risk register. So I think this is the option I would go with right now. But let's see option D. It is to replace the supplier. You never replace the supplier before you have assessed the kind of risk it is and the impact that risk has on the project. So option C, document the risk in the risk register, is the right thing to do at first, because what you will do is you will list down, ideally you should list down the risk in a risk register, have it numbered, then assess the impact of that risk on the project. How you will do that? You will identify how that risk is impacting. First of all, qualitatively on the project, whether the severity is in terms of number of days or it's going to be in terms of impact to the resources, fatalities on the project, that kind of analysis, qualitative analysis. And then it goes to the quantitative analysis, where you see the numbers of the project, how it is going to delay, and then how it is going to impact in terms of cost on the project. So yeah, the probability and impact of the project. First of all, see how much probable the likelihood of that impact is, and then impact in terms of the actual delays, actual amount of losses to the project. So the right option is to document the risk in the risk register, which will lead to the qualitative and quantitative analysis of the risk. Question 5 is based on quality management domain. A company is developing a medical monitoring device. This is the project the company is handling right now, developing a medical monitoring device that must comply with strict regulatory requirements. Very strict regulatory requirements there are for medical monitoring devices. During user acceptance testing, customer identifies a defect that should have been discovered during internal testing. There is a big problem here. During internal testing, internal quality checks have not been done, and later on the customer has identified those defects. Very bad for the company. Correcting the issue will require rework and may delay the deployment. Which process was most likely ineffective? Now they are not asking here what you will do next or what is the right thing to do. This is a retrospective analysis. Here they are asking what has gone wrong, who has not done their duties rightly, which process has failed. So from PMBOK point of view, let's see options. Manage the quality. It is overarching, manage the quality. I don't think manage quality has failed, because there have been an internal testing done by the project team, but during that time there was a failure and the errors have passed on to the next phase. So project was managed, project quality was managed on the project. It cannot be the option. Option B is control quality. Now I would say that control quality is something that is related to the internal inspections on the project. There are certain quality standards, those are agreed initially, specifications agreed, and there is a quality control process agreed, saying that we will inspect the components, the outcome of the project at various stages or gates in the design of the project. So during this stage gate process, at the end of every gate, stage gate, there is a validation process, there is internal inspection process, which should go in the right way, and there should be errors identified during those checks. The checks should be done with some checklists to be followed. That's how you control the quality and correct the errors immediately before they go on to the client. But in this case, it did not happen. So I think control of the quality control has gone wrong in our case. Third option is validate the scope. Now you need to understand that validate is once the product has come out, the product is ready and it is handed over to the client for the review, for validation of the scope. So during validation of the scope, that process has happened and it has gone very well. So I don't think it has gone wrong. Client has received the output, the device, and validated it with the scope. Option D, plan quality management. And this is not the right option because we can see that some internal checks were done and during that check, internal testing, it should have been discovered. That was the quality control failure. The customer identified the defect later, which should have been discovered during internal testing. Definitely quality control has failed, making option B as the right option. PMP question 6, based on resource management domain. Project manager is leading a software implementation project in a weak matrix organization. Now the project is software implementation project, where you need organization style, which is organization structure, which is strong enough, but here it's the matrix and it is weak. So there is definitely some problems between coordination problems between functional management and project management. Let's see how it goes. The team members frequently receive conflicting priorities from their functional managers, and project work often gets delayed. Now the team members are the ones who are in the middle, and they are controlled by their functional team manager as well as the project manager. Functional team manager, I look at it from my engineering background. My functional manager is an engineering manager who is responsible only to assign the resources to the right project. And then project manager is the one responsible to get the project work done by the team member. But often in matrix organization, if it is not the roles and responsibilities, there are dependencies, their relationships, if not managed very well, they form the root of problems. As seen here, conflicting priorities from functional manager and project work is getting delayed because of that. What should the project manager do first? Option A, escalate the issue to the PMO. Never ever escalate in first place. Understand, the question is asking what will you do at first. Escalation to senior management is the last resort. When you have explored all other options available, in the end go for escalation, not in the first place. Option B, replace the team members who miss the deadlines. Clearly the problem is visible. There are conflicting priorities which the team members are not responsible for. So replacing the team members when they miss the deadline, it's not the right thing to do. Rather, we should be there to resolve the problems and help the team members to do their best, to deliver their best. Option C, to meet with functional managers to clarify priorities. This is a wise project manager will do. What he will do is go to the functional manager, speak up, communicate with the functional manager rather than receiving everything and saying yes to everything. Start saying no. Learn to say no to the project manager or to any of those functional manager or project manager, whoever is creating the conflicting priorities should be said no to. So meet with functional manager, discuss what they need on priority, make them aware that project priorities are something that I need to adhere to. I cannot delay them. These are my constraints. If we can work around them, if I do these project priorities first and then take your other activities, is it okay to do that? That kind of communication need to happen. So we need to meet the functional manager to clarify priorities. That's the right thing to do. Option D, let's see, extend the project schedule. You will never do this at first. You might need to extend the project schedule, but only after you have set your priorities and you know what is the priority to go with. So first of all, have the communication and discuss the issues with the functional manager. Option C is the right answer. Question 7 is from schedule management domain. A project manager is meeting with potential customer to discuss a future initiative. Only a high level requirements have been identified. So right now what is happening is the project manager is meeting with potential customer, the potential client, to discuss a future initiative that may turn into a project. Only high level requirements have been identified. But the customer requests an estimated completion time frame. They want to know, the client wants to know the completion time frame, in how many days or months or year this project will be over or completed. The project manager references 3 similar projects completed over the last 2 years and provides an estimate of 10 to 12 months. Now the project manager has taken a strategy to prepare the estimate based on data from 3 similar projects completed over the last 2 years, and he has reached to an estimate of 10 to 12 months. Which estimating technique was used? Now here we have got an indication of what strategy the project manager used. He has taken out the data from previous 3 similar projects completed over last 2 years. Did he do bottom-up estimating? No, because in bottom-up estimating, you list down all the tasks, activities, deliverables required for completing the project, and then estimate the time frame for those tasks, activities or deliverables. But here there is no indication of that. So definitely bottom-up estimating has not been used. 3-point estimating, I don't see 3-point estimating being used here, because in 3-point estimating you normally look at 3 different times for each task to be completed. So those are optimistic time, pessimistic time and most likely time. In 3-point simple estimate, you find out the likely completion, likely value of the completed task would be E equals to O plus P plus M divided by 3. In PERT estimate or triangular estimate, you would say that O plus 4 times M plus P divided by 6 would be the 3-point estimating PERT value. But all that calculation has not been done here. There is no evidence of that. So 3-point estimating using optimistic, pessimistic, most likely time has not been done. It's not the option. Option C, analogous estimating. Analogous is something where you take a reference of previously completed works, previously completed projects, use that as the basis, and then interpolate the estimate the new project completion times. So I think this is the right option here. Parametric estimating is something else. Parametric estimating, you calculate the parameters based on previous project and say last project was of this size, whereas this project is going to be 3 times bigger than this. So that's why I estimate that the project duration would be at least 2 times of that project completion duration of the previous project, or the cost of the project can be 3 times of this previously completed project. But that's not done here, so parametric estimating is not done, and option C is firmly, we can select analogous estimating as the right choice for this question. Question 8, based on communication management domain. Project manager receives complaints from stakeholders. Some stakeholders claim that they are not receiving enough information, while others believe they are receiving too many detailed reports. So there is a big problem here with communication with stakeholders, stakeholder communication. I can see that the stakeholders are not properly analyzed. their interest and their power is not known. They are not plotted on the graph that I have shown previously. As we don't know what level of power they have, what interest they hold on the project, we don't know what kind of communication strategies need to be planned to keep them engaged with the project. That thing is missing here. Which document should the project manager review first? Should they review stakeholder register? I think stakeholder register is a document where you list down all the stakeholders, but then it gets further developed on the basis of their power and their interest in the project. We rank them and then decide what to do with the engaging strategies to be decided later. Option B, risk register. Should project manager look into the risk register? Definitely not, because that risk register will not tell you what to do to engage the project stakeholders. The communication management plan. This is a very important document, and this is the document that will tell you how frequently a communication needs to be sent to the stakeholders, how much involvement they need to have for each and every stakeholder, how many times you need to send them, what level of information they need to receive. Do they need to receive every operational update, or do they need to receive weekly reports only, monthly reports only? All that has been defined in the communication management plan. So this is going to be the top choice that we have. But let's see other options. What should the project manager review first? Option D, project charter. Now, project charter is something that is very high level document prepared during initiation of the project, very basic stages of the project. You cannot go and review that and expect it to have details about communication management plan. No. Option A was stakeholder register. Again, as I said, it's only showing the power and the interest of the stakeholder, but not the details about communication. The key behind this answer is that most of the communication frequencies or adequacy of the communication would point you to communication management plan. So this is the option always you should try to find when you spot the issues with communication managed inadequately. Question 9 is based on procurement management domain. A project relies on a vendor to provide specialized equipment. As is delivering a special equipment, that's an important vendor. Several deliveries have been delivered late, and performance metrics indicate that the vendor is not meeting contractual obligations. Various deliverables have been delivered lately, so big contractual obligations there. What should the project manager review first? Before you do anything, what should you do first? Should you review the risk register? Management of the supplier, their deliveries has got nothing to do with risk register. Risk register is where we list down all the risks, all the potential risks on the project. Maybe that this risk has been risk of delay to the project, delay of the delivery has been added to the risk register, but this is not the first place to go and check, so definitely not this one. Option B, project charter. As we know, project charter prepared during initiation, very high level document, not expected to include the project deliveries, the expectations from the suppliers. That's not there in that. Shall we review the contract? Or shall we review the stakeholder register? Now, stakeholder register is a document where we list down all the stakeholders, assess their power and interest on the project, and then they decide on the strategies to keep them engaged with the project. Stakeholder register is not the option to look at, but contract. This is a very important document. Contract is the document that has terms and conditions agreed between multiple parties, where there is a supplier, there is a buyer, there is a third party, maybe the government, where the contract is a legalized contract. So it's kind of agreed through legal law. It's a registered contract where both of them have agreed the expectations from the buyer, the timeline for the deliveries, what are the expectations, what will happen if they don't abide to that expectation, what if there are delays, what if the company is liquidated, what if there is force majeure, act of God, there is war situation, what to do in all such situation is written in the contract. So as we can see, there has been performance related, the several deliveries have been delayed, and the performance metrics, the KPIs have not been up to the mark as we expected the supplier to do. So I think the first place that we need to review is the contract. Does it include all these expectations listed, and what is the procedure to follow when the expectations on the delivery date are not adhered to? So the option C, contract, is the right answer. Question 10 is based on team development domain. The project manager takes over a project midway through execution. Now the project is through the execution phase. The team works effectively, resolves conflicts independently, and consistently exceeds the performance expectations. So the team is performing really well. Team members openly share knowledge and collaborate without requiring significant supervision. Without significant supervision, they are collaborating, sharing knowledge. So the team is really in a good shape. According to Tuckman's model, which stage best describes this team? So as I can see, the option is A, forming, B, storming, C, norming, D, performing. There is another fifth option here, that's adjourning. Don't mind my writing there, but yeah, so fifth option should be adjourning. That's the Tuckman's model. When a team is formed, when a team joins the project, it goes through various levels of the various stages that's described in Tuckman's model. Those stages are based on their knowing each other, getting along well, collaborating, then starting to work together, solving each other's problems, then sharing the knowledge, completing the project successfully, and in the end adjourning or leaving the team or going to some other work that's to be done after completing this project. But forming is where the project teams are formed. If people are working on different projects, they come in, whether people are newly recruited, they join the team. So that's where forming happens. You get to know each other, know their names, know their roles, their responsibilities. Then you start working, which takes us to storming stage, where issues happen. People don't know what is responsibility of the other person. They get to know more. When they start doing more, they start to know each other's roles and responsibilities more. They start allocating the responsibilities to the right person, I cannot do this, but I know that person B can do this, so I will direct you to that person. That's how storming happens. Then there is norming, where things become normal. So people start collaborating, people start doing multidisciplinary activities, people start communicating more, people start working in collaboration. So that's where people are norming. Then comes the stage where people are performing, the team is performing, the team persons are delivering to the best of their capabilities. Now here, if you see, the team works effectively, they are resolving the conflicts independently, there is fair independence there, consistently exceeding the performance expectations, they are doing more than what they are required to do as a team. There is synergistic benefit in doing that, in working in collaboration. Now collaboration started during norming stage, but you can see performing is continuing collaborating for a longer term. So yeah, the team has been very well collaborating, and next level of collaboration is not keeping the knowledge to yourself, sharing the knowledge, collaborating without requiring supervision. You are not collaborating because it is expected, because the project manager expects you to collaborate with your team member, but you collaborate because you are feeling the bond in the team. The bond is strengthening your team performance. You feel that synergy in the team, and to continue that collaboration is beneficial to the project. So for that, you continue with performing, and that's what these traits are pointing towards, and the team is definitely in the performing stage, and that's matching exactly with Tuckman's model's stage of performing as it is described in this question. So our right answer is option D. Question 11. From integration management domain, a senior architect discovers a technical approach that could reduce implementation effort. So reduce implementation effort by approximately 20%. He has discovered that if we take another technical approach, the implementation effort can be reduced by 20%. The project is currently performing well, it's well undergoing against all the baselines. So it's on schedule. When we say project is performing well against all baselines, the schedule is on time, the budget is in control, the costs are not overrunning, so the project is healthy. The architect believes that the improvement should be adopted immediately to maximize efficiency, which is a good suggestion. What should the project manager do first? Again, what as a responsible project manager you should be doing first? Is it option A, implement the improvement immediately? You have not done your due diligence, you have not assessed the impact, you have not quantified the change, you have not taken the relevant approvals from the relevant senior management, and you are thinking of implementing it immediately. That's not going to be supported by the project sponsors or senior management, so you cannot do that. Option B, ask the architect to submit a formal change request. That's a wise thing to do. As a change is being implemented, a potential change is being highlighted, somebody from the team has highlighted the change, that's the senior architect. We should not ignore that, but that should not be ignored, and that has to undergo a formal change control process, formal change management process, and therefore we should ask the architect to submit a formal change request. Option C, present the idea to the customer. You have not completely seen the change or the potential change. You have got no idea about impact of that change, how that is to be implemented. The planning for that change is not done. Nobody has quantified it. so that it can go for further approval to the change control board or internally approved by the project manager if it is a small change. But looking at this, 20% reduction of the overall effort is going to be a big change and will need change control board's approval. So present to the customer immediately, we cannot do that at first. Update the schedule baseline you can do only once you know what are the impacts, how that approach is going to be implemented, and then the impact on the schedule baseline because of that change. That may be reduction of the schedule, but it cannot be just because it is going to positively impact. It cannot be immediately approved or implemented before it gets reviewed by the right people. So option B, ask the architect to submit a formal change request, is the right option because you have identified a change that needs to be documented in a change request, which can be further analyzed, quantified, and then presented to the change control board or the senior management to approve it. So option B is the right option to go with. Next question is question 12, based on benefits management domain. A project successfully delivers all planned outputs within budget and ahead of schedule. So the project has been successfully delivered by the project manager and it was within budget, ahead of schedule. Management should be very happy with the project manager. 6 months later, executives discover that the anticipated operational savings have not materialized. So once the project was successfully delivered, a long time has passed and the benefits have gone into operation. So a long time, 6 months time has been passed after the project was delivered, and now it's discovered that the operational savings that was expected have not been saved. So who is primarily accountable for ensuring benefits are realized? Now we need to look at this problem from the point of view of the project. What kind of project is it? Is it a mobile application? If the application was the project, it was completed on time, within budget, with all the required specifications. It has been validated with the specification, accepted by the client, project has been delivered. So in that case, the project was perfectly fine, properly delivered, project manager has done his job. Afterwards, after the handover to the client, it becomes the client's responsibility. It becomes the project is completed at one point where it is handed over to the client. It becomes an operation. Now on the continuous term, on the longer term, it's the client who is responsible to operate the mobile application, help the application to reach to the customers. So who is primarily accountable for ensuring the benefits are realized? Benefits will be realized after a certain operation time of that application, and which will be monitored by the owners of that application. So is primarily accountable the project manager? I don't think he is accountable for that because he has done his role. He or she has completed the project on time, delivered it on time. He is not responsible for the operation of the application after it is handed over. Is the sponsor who has sponsored the project? Definitely not. Sponsor is not the one who will go and monitor the benefits, realization of the benefits. It is the benefits owner. The right option should be the benefits owner, who is owner of that application now, who is monitoring the operational usage, reach to the customers and resolving issues with that. Is it functional manager? Definitely not. Functional manager is just managing the resources required on the project, the people with the right competencies. He is managing the competencies of the team members on the project, assigning them to the right project based on their competencies, based on their roles and responsibilities. So he is not responsible for this, but the benefits owner is the person who is responsible to ensure the benefits are realized. Option C is the right option. Question 13 on Agile leadership. A Scrum team consistently misses sprint goals because user stories are large and poorly understood. So user stories are large, poorly understood. That's why team is consistently missing the sprint goals. During retrospectives, developers report uncertainty about requirements and dependencies. So the requirements are not clearly stated, dependencies are not clearly understood, there are problems. During retrospective, developers have reported all these problems with the sprint goals because the user stories are large. What should the Scrum Master encourage? In this condition, in this situation, what should the Scrum Master encourage? Longer sprints do not help. They delay your activities, they cause all these issues, uncertainties, requirements are not clearly understood, dependencies, relationships between tasks are not clearly known, so longer sprints not helpful. Additional approvals, again administrative blockages, additional approvals they will create are only additional blockages delaying your sprint timing. So completion of the sprint will be delayed, and that's not ideal thing to do. Additional approvals will not work. Option C, improved backlog refinement. So backlog, we have seen the issues are with longer user stories. Definitely backlog needs to be improved, needs to be refined so that there are clear understanding of the tasks to be done. There is clear understanding of the responsibilities. There is clear understanding of the relationship between the tasks. That will help improve the backlog. The refinement will improve the backlog, as well as it will help in estimation, proper estimation, knowing the relationships correctly, and overall the delivery of the sprint will become healthier than what is at present situation. So I think improved backlog refinement is the solution to refine the longer user stories. More documentation definitely will not help anyone and delay us along with the additional approvals. More documentation will cause further delays. But improvement in the backlog refinement is the option to go with. So my choice is option C. That's the answer. Question 14. Risk management. A risk assessment reveals that a cybersecurity threat has both high probability and high impact. A new cybersecurity threat with high probability and high impact. What does this point to? The risk is most important here. So let's see. It's a very important risk, very potentially high risk. The threat could expose sensitive customer data. Data can get exposed and damage the company's reputation. If customer sensitive data is exposed, then that will damage the company's reputation. What should the project team do next? What should the project team do next? Accept the risk and do nothing? No, I don't think. When you have a high level risk which has got high level of probability and high level of impact, then as a team member you are definitely supposed to flag that risk to your project manager and ask what we need to do about it. Let's see other options. Move it to issue log. Now you move the risk to issue log when it is a minor risk. There is very low impact and very low probability. it's a very low probability, low impact risk, not very important. Then you move it to issue log. It becomes just an issue, operational issue to be tackled by the team. But here we have a high level risk. Option C is to close the risk. When you know it is a high level risk, you cannot close the risk unless you do something about it. And what you will do about it is given in option B. Prioritize the risk for response planning. When you have a high level risk, you need to prioritize it before any other risk that has low impact or low probability. But in this case, we need to prioritize and form a risk planning for that risk. Response planning. How you do that? You have the risk register, list it down in the risk register, prioritize the risks with high probability, high impact on top, low probability, low impact at the bottom, and then quantify the risks based on their probability, impact. The quantitative assessment will help you, qualitative assessment will help you, but in the end you need to strategize the response to these risks by either transferring the risk, mitigating the risk, avoiding the risk. There are various strategies to take up. But first of all, you need to decide that it is a high level risk. It needs to go to the top, needs to be prioritized. So option B is the right option to go with. We need to prioritize the risk for response planning. Question 15. Scope management. A customer requests several small enhancements. Enhancements, it's a good word for change. So a customer has requested several new changes during a demonstration session. Each change appears minor individually, but collectively they could significantly affect the scope and testing activities. So there are many small enhancements, small changes which may pile up into significantly affecting scope and testing activities. What should the project manager do now? Option A, approve all enhancements. You cannot approve the enhancements because you have not evaluated those enhancements yet. You don't know what are the impact of all these enhancements. And that's what the next option B states. Evaluate the request through change control. That's the most correct thing to do. Option C, reject all changes as they have come from the customer. You have no option to reject them. You can never make the customer unhappy. Your role is to satisfy the customer with what has been agreed as an expectation of the project delivery. Option D, implement only the easiest change. It is the easy way out. Implement only the easiest change. These are few minor changes, I can get them done, but that's not the right option to take because every small change that comes into the project has to be evaluated. There has to be a valid process for change control, process for management of change. Through that process, all the changes have to go, starting with writing a change request. So all the changes have to be officially written into a change request, and they have to follow a certain procedure where the changes are quantified, assessed. Their impact of that change is assessed on all the domains of the project management, including scope, time, cost, quality, resources, stakeholder communication, procurement, as we already know. So after that, it goes through the change management process, change control process, and then we approve get the change approved through this process. But the first step to take is evaluate the requests, evaluate those changes through change control.